Top 10 Scary Prisons in America That Should Close Down. The United States has the highest incarceration rate in the world, with over 2 million people behind bars. While the American prison system is meant to be a place for rehabilitation and punishment, many facilities have become notorious for their inhumane conditions, overcrowding, and violence. In this video, we will explore the top 10 scary prisons in America that should close down due to their dangerous environments, poor management, and failure to protect the rights of inmates. These prisons not only fail to rehabilitate but also pose a significant risk to the well-being of prisoners, staff, and society at large. Rikers Island Jail Complex, New York. Rikers Island is a massive jail complex located in New York City, housing around 10,000 inmates. Although it is a jail rather than a prison, Rikers has a reputation for extreme violence, brutality, and inhumane treatment of inmates. Reports of frequent beatings, use of excessive force by guards, and an overall atmosphere of fear make it one of the scariest places in America. The Department of Justice even deemed Rikers Island as having a culture of violence in 2014. The city has plans to close Rikers by 2026 and replace it with smaller, community-based jails. 2. Attica Correctional Facility, New York. Attica Correctional Facility gained infamy in 1971 when a riot broke out, resulting in the death of 43 people, including 10 correctional officers. The riot was a response to the prisoners' demands for better living conditions and political rights. Today, the facility still has a reputation for excessive use of force, mistreatment of inmates, and racial bias. A 2015 report found that officers at Attica used force against inmates at a rate much higher than other prisons in the state. This legacy of violence and unrest makes Attica one of the most feared prisons in the United States. 3. San Quentin State Prison, California. San Quentin State Prison is the oldest prison in California and houses the state's only death row for male inmates. Despite efforts to improve conditions, the facility remains notorious for gang violence, riots, and overcrowding. In 2020, the prison experienced a COVID-19 outbreak that infected over 2,200 inmates and killed 28, raising concerns about inadequate healthcare and negligence. Additionally, San Quentin has been criticized for its high recidivism rate, questioning the effectiveness of the prison's rehabilitation efforts. 4. Angola Prison, Louisiana State Penitentiary, Louisiana. Angola Prison, also known as the Louisiana State Penitentiary, is the largest maximum security prison in the United States. The facility has a long history of violence, abuse, and corruption. In the 1950s and 60s, it was known as the bloodiest prison in America. Today, the prison still faces issues with overcrowding, understaffing, and inadequate healthcare, leading to high rates of inmate death. Furthermore, allegations of forced labor and prisoner mistreatment have led to several lawsuits against Angola. 5. Pelican Bay State Prison, California. Pelican Bay State Prison is a supermax facility located in Crescent City, California. It is known for its Security Housing Unit, SHU, where inmates are held in solitary confinement for 22 to 24 hours a day. Solitary confinement can lead to severe psychological damage, and the use of this practice in Pelican Bay has drawn international criticism from human rights organizations. In 2015, California agreed to limit the use of solitary confinement, but Pelican Bay remains a symbol of the inhumane treatment of prisoners. 6. Parchman Farm, Mississippi State Penitentiary, Mississippi. Parchman Farm, also known as the Mississippi State Penitentiary, has a long and brutal history dating back to its establishment in 1901. Originally modeled after a plantation, Parchman Farm has been notorious for its forced labor, harsh conditions, and racial segregation. In recent years, the prison has faced numerous lawsuits for its inhumane living conditions, lack of adequate health care, and high rates of violence. In January 2020, the U.S. Department of Justice launched a civil rights investigation into Parchman due to the death of several inmates under suspicious circumstances. 7. ADX Florence, United States Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility, Colorado. ADX Florence is a federal supermax prison that houses some of the most dangerous criminals in the United States, including terrorists, serial killers, and drug kingpins. The facility has been dubbed the Alcatraz of the Rockies due to its extreme security measures and the use of long-term solitary confinement. While the prison is intended for the worst of the worst, critics argue that the conditions in ADX Florence constitute cruel and unusual punishment. Prisoners spend most of their time in small, windowless cells with minimal human contact, leading to severe psychological damage. 8. Men's Central Jail, California. Located in downtown Los Angeles, Men's Central Jail is the largest jail in the world, housing around 5,000 inmates. The facility has been plagued by overcrowding, gang violence, and accusations of abuse by jail staff. In 2011, the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, reported that the Men's Central Jail was a modern-day medieval dungeon due to its deplorable conditions, lack of natural light, and excessive use of solitary confinement. Efforts to replace the jail have been stalled for years, leaving inmates to endure these appalling conditions. 9. Julia Tutwiler Prison for Women, Alabama. Julia Tutwiler Prison for Women, located in Wetumpka, Alabama, is one of the most notorious women's prisons in the United States. A 2014 Department of Justice report found that the prison had a toxic, sexualized environment in which sexual abuse and harassment by staff members were rampant. The report also noted the prison's failure to provide adequate medical and mental health care, leading to preventable inmate deaths. In response to these findings, Alabama has been working on plans to replace Tutwiler with a new facility, but progress has been slow. 10. Cook County Jail, Illinois. Cook County Jail, located in Chicago, is one of the largest single-site county jails in the United States. The facility has long been known for its violence, unsanitary conditions, and inadequate mental health care. In 2014, the Cook County Sheriff's Office reported a staggering 3,000 inmate-on-inmate assaults, and in 2018, a federal judge ruled that the jail's healthcare was so deficient it violated prisoners' constitutional rights. While there have been some improvements in recent years, Cook County Jail remains a dangerous and dysfunctional facility. Conclusion: the American prison system is in dire need of reform. The facilities listed in this essay exemplify the worst aspects of mass incarceration, violence, overcrowding, abuse, and a failure to rehabilitate. Shutting down these prisons would be an important step towards creating a more humane and effective criminal justice system. Efforts must be made to invest in community-based alternatives to incarceration, improve conditions in existing facilities, and focus on rehabilitation rather than punishment. The closure of these scary prisons would send a clear message that America is committed to upholding the human rights of its incarcerated population and prioritizing justice over retribution.